All right, welcome everybody. I think that this is an appropriate shot, and then where I'm going to be going today, it's going to be a pretty fast upload to the internet. So some of you are new to this secret, private blog, and the reason why it's private is because I consider a lot of the info to be high level on the geopolitical and on the occultic side, and on the spiritual warfare side. And I'm pretty experienced. I've been doing this for 22 years. And I have realized that just by putting yourself out there to the general world at large, who can be anybody, you end up with certain results. Now, I haven't had any direct results that I can prove, that I can measure from 8 months of picking you first, using AI in some cases, AI suggesting you when I talk about myself, who might like Alex, who, based on what we know from their websites, who might actually overtly be into the authentic me, as opposed to being, turned off by it. So I encompass not only different genetics, but a cross between the East and the West, spiritual understandings, but also the Western analytical, scientific, or mechanical mind. So on my mom's side, the white side, there is that machine-like, nature, the mechanic, the carpenter, and all that. And then on the father's side, there's translation. There's more there than I know, but it does include things that relate to, scholarly things, the world of higher education. Even if I did not personally pursue higher education or a lifetime in the military, because, I'm basically from a military family on both sides, actually, if you look into it, people that have served the United States military. I also have a military mind. When it comes to the hypothetical situation, if America was invaded by China and Russia, how would the people fight back if we didn't have a government? So, even though they made a movie called The Terminator, and there's a character called John Connor, and it's completely fictional, the archetype of that, as well as The Matrix, is what I associate with. What separates my work from those of you? Did you see that? A squirrel just jumped on me. A bird and a squirrel just came at me. A bird and a squirrel just came at me. That never happened before. That, right? You did it. You bet. You see that? The bird was after the squirrel, and the squirrel came to me for help. This is what it was, man. You got to watch out for those birds. You got to watch out for those bird humans, too. Bird, alien, human hybrids. But it's early in the morning. You're not really ready for that. And it's like a scene from Back to the Future, that might be a bit much for you, but your kids are going to love it. Okay, when it comes to the Matrix and the whole, looking at the codes, there's a false reality that he's beginning to see, and he's seeing through that reality, and he's also beginning to affect that reality. There's multiple things going on in the allegory regarding the Matrix, and a lot of people missed it. We talked about it in the podcast. This video is the addendum or companion to the podcast. The reason we're doing it, high def, is because we're going to be able to shoot it up to the internet real fast, real quick, and it's going to be a great introduction. Right now, we're dealing with a world at war. You probably heard, right? There's a couple of things going on, maybe you heard in the news. It's not just the quote, genocide in Palestine. It's what's been happening in Ukraine. It's also the time the whole thing started with Ukraine, 2022. We'll get to what was happening then in a moment. We have unrest, we have teen takeovers. We just have a lot of violence, but what's most disturbing at all, despite all the books, despite people with their degrees walking around with their big bellies going, I got a degree. We're not affected by the sun. I got a degree. I'm a superior journalist. We're dealing with fascism, actually, psychological fascism. People that are acting arrogant like they were in the 70s and 80s that led us on the path that we are now. We have modern people thinking that they're super conscious that are leading us towards the cage in the next couple of years. There has always been persecution of those that knew about the solar flares and the geomagnetic storms. And it goes back hundreds of thousands of years. This is not a new thing for people that are intelligent to be cast out by society. I have 2 books on Amazon, and I have a lot of confidence within me that I can sit there and do an 8-hour conference, just like Mark Passio talks about shadow work. Well, my message to info at Conscious Life Expo, as well as Mark at newmagexpo.com and other associated websites, I can come and put on a 3, 4, 5 hour talk. Sure, you can have your hors d'oeuvres, you can have your food, you can do some exercise. You want to eat, you want to relax, you want to wine and dine, maybe we'll smoke a few bowls or vape. Maybe we want to do a little bit more than that. But the point is that we don't have to make it boring. It can be fun, the way that I envision the conference or the seminar. It can be a whole lot of fun. And so what I don't think, but what I know from my life experience, is that there is a spirit of evil that likes to rule people. Just like we have those that want to seek to rule like the world through the pyramid, there are people that haven't checked their own demons, whatever we choose to call them. And so when I walk the earth and I go to different communities and I hold the book and I point to a website and I'm talking about real things that you can measure, and it's not conspiratorial, it's a real thing. And there's an analogy to that. There is something else going on. And that is why you can have in this matrix, you can have in this world, people that are low IQ, low intelligent, rise to the top, because in this world, that's how things are structured. You have to be willing to sacrifice the pleasures of the flesh if you're going to walk the walk and talk the talk, because we're here for something greater, and it's not to impress these humanoids on two legs that are scurrying around, that are in their own test before God. Yeah, no, my experience here on the earth is not riches, is not women, is not children. Now, if that wants to come as a side effect at some point, as a result of the good that I do, so be it. But this is not like a new formula or blueprint for seers, mystics to live alone off the grid. So again, for those of you that are new, let me summarize the things that you're going to get from me. It's like a unique drink for those of you that like to do like foodies. For those of you that are foodies, like Laura Daniels from the Dallas Observer, some of you like food more than you like certain people, which is interesting. But you can look at it like a drink that is part this, part this, part this, part this, way more complex and involved than anything with caffeine. Okay? So not only do I have some really interesting ancestors that I know that I inherited knowledge from, I talk about a combination of things that a lot of you don't, so you can learn a lot from me if you're willing to be open-minded. We'll move beyond this controlled word called inclusive. If you're willing to be a real human being, basically, then you can roll with me. And you can learn about off-grid living, the best places to get away from it all if the shit were to hit the fan and fire were to start coming down from the sky, and starving, what your media and world would call zombies, starving people basically with guns and weapons looking to traffic somebody like your kid and stuff so that they can eat. That's what's coming. There are certain areas with you in a group, if you want to fortify it, they're going to be perfect for what's coming. And then other areas that, that might be perfect if there's already community for you to grow fruits and vegetables where you won't even deal with any of that stuff. Okay? Then there's the whole thing about off-grid living and spiritual communion. For those of you that don't like the topic of disasters, there's more to just recreational taking your dog out to nature. There's going into nature and having communion, listening to podcasts, whether it be mine or somebody else. And here I am almost completed Mark Passio's 8-hour conference. Would not have done that, likely would not have done that in the city. There's something about this environment that is healing what seemed to be a broken attention span. Well, other people, like the lady I live with, will call it ADHD. These are labels for matrix people. When it comes to nature, you restore yourself back to where you need to be, and then things are functioning again. Then the haters could come back, and other problems could come back. Why? Because my power has come back. People are more threatened by me. So once people realize that I have power, I need to have people in my corner that I can defend. I already put the word out to my audience, but nobody took me up on it, to try to build some friendships. If somebody hurt you, if somebody raped you, if somebody beat you up, if there's somebody that you can't do anything about, you need me to make a phone call, or at some point when I was talking about going to Portland, pay somebody a visit. If you need me, I'll be there for you. Might have been risky talking like that, but I showed that I was willing to help people that were in my audience. And the same offer goes to you. Some of you might actually get fired in the coming years. If you choose to, not go along to get along, or just due to economic reasons. Then what are you going to do? You're going to think about going off-grid after off-grid living has already been made illegal, and you haven't already made the necessary associations with those in on the know with where to go, where you can still live in freedom? Because I am in on the know. I'm in on the know right now. And to be quite frank, as I look up on the hill as I look down on the hill, right? Even if I'm not famous, even if I'm not well known, it's okay for the shit to hit the fan before my life story is out there. You know, before I'm known for the good things that I've done. So I can rest now knowing that a certain percentage of people are not going to grow up. And that I put my main channel through the test, I put other people through the test, then I created this Substack and I zoned in on the people that I was trying to reach, if they're even reachable. But beyond you, there isn't really a whole lot of people on my list. Maybe some businesses, some people to talk to in Dallas and Portland, not a whole lot of people really. And so we're reaching something. We're reaching the moment of truth. It's the final countdown. It's the moment of truth. It's on the line. This is the time. Survivor, 80s. No, you weren't there. So yeah, man. We have an opportunity to be a powerful 144. We have the 36 symbolism. We have 315, although some of you may unsub after this, but we'll bring it back. We have 315 subscribers now, symbolism at 36. We have 36% open ratio. And then get this. It looks like if I were to stay here in town, my marijuana cost would be about $36 exactly per week. 36 plus 36 is 72. 72 names of God, 72 plus 72, 144. 144 for the 144,000. There's a reason my main YouTube channel is Spiritual Podcast 144. By focusing on that number and by passing the bombardment of the 666 reality, maybe we can connect energetically. Whether you choose to call it the astral, the spiritual, or the inner planes. Okay? So yeah, later on I'll start expanding to YouTube channels. But I'm not going to apologize at this point for being intense and for being right. It's going to make sense that certain people are not going to want to listen to this anymore. Because they're hearing the same thing over and over and over. And then a lot of people, you know, they just want new information. They don't want to be reminded on a regular basis that they have a responsibility to fix things. And that's what I can respect about Mark Passio. And the video that he made recently is because it is about self-responsibility and looking in the mirror and seeing your role and your part in this matrix and in this system. And a lot of people don't. And that's what he gets. When I look at Mark Passio and I look at the variety of content, the beauty of watching content like his, even if we don't agree on everything, is that he will be saying the truth in his own way. Okay, and I'll be saying the truth in my own way, and we'll be saying the exact same thing to a certain degree. He talks about the Nephilim worship programming of all things that are tall, that are super large, while ignoring other forms of life and not even caring about whether those forms of life exist or not. And I'm telling you, even though some humans are pretty, they are vampires. And that's what I see in spirit. A lot of these pretty humans rolling up on dirt bikes, being super masculine, when they could be expressing another version of themselves, out for blood, out to hurt men, and not even the actual men that hurt them and put their gender in a bad situation, but in particular, they'll be going after spiritual men. So yeah, there'll be wars in the future during the collapse where AI will be organizing groups of humans against other groups of humans. It's an evil spirit that's behind this technology. And these humans, even though they've been warned through the Matrix, they've been warned through their Bible, they've been warned through the Quran, they've been warned through so many different forms, and yet you have people that watched these movies, that read these books, that are walking around like they got their head up their ass. Right? When the truth was put in there, in the book, in the movie, in plain sight, now they want to go to war with anybody who's starting to connect the dots, calling them names. And then calling them names when they find themselves alone. And then making fun of them when the system targets them. You know, the whole lesson of the whole thing with Costia County is they're sitting there acting like victims. Victims of the state, right? They're acting like victims, and yet they were the type of people who laughed at the poor-off gritters who were being kicked off their land. And it's like, I'm seeing it from that perspective years ago. if you people are silent